Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Everyday Home Retreat Show. I'm Ingela, and I'm your host. And today, I have the great pleasure of welcoming Patrick Larouche. Welcome, Patrick.
Well, hello. And Ingela, thank you so much for interviewing me, allow me to speak and be part of your journey. Thank you for that.
I am very excited. I'm going to read Patrick's bio so you know who he is and why I chose him to have him on my show. So Patrick Larouche has been in holistic health since 2000, working with thousands of clients eliminating their pain. Using his Live Pain-Free process, he helps women who lead with masculine energy and their chronic pain, so they can show up as the best version of themselves, making more money and maximizing their free time. Love that. So when we talked on the phone, my question was, of course, now what is a sanctuary to you? And you said your basement, where you are right now. Yes.
Yes, I do have my own little holistic cave, let's call it. So it's my sanctuary. It's something I built, but I've built many sanctuaries. I've had offices that I've done many different things for to make healing easy and effortless.
Yeah. So why do you think we need our own little sacred little space or area?
There is so much bombardment on the human body that we need a place that feels safe. And a lot of people don't realize, and the women that I work with in specific, I ask them, all right, so where's your safe place? And they say, oh, I'm home. I was like, all right, but inside your home, where is your spot where you can actually let go? And the majority of them can't answer it. Majority of them just say, oh, I'm home, I'm cooking, I'm doing that. So every room is somewhat of a stressor. Where's your place where your nervous system actually drops down? I have one girl that we eventually made her closet, and it sounds ridiculous and funny, but it was actually her closet where she can have everything quiet, dark, where she wanted to be, and it just happened to be her closet. We do everything off of feel. Where does your body feel best in this environment? So doesn't have to be a full basement. It could be a corner. It could be anything. It's a matter of where does your nervous system drop down? Because so many people don't realize that they can meditate. They can, do all the things right, let's say, all the self-care check boxes, but their nervous system will never drop down because there's always an onslaught of things coming towards them. They're in their safe place, but there's kids running around, for instance. They're in their safe place and they can't get out of what do I have to do next? When you're in your safe place, time goes away.
Right.
We have our nervous system back down because of that. And that's how we do it.
Right. So, we have the intentions to probably have these spaces, but it is hard. Like some spaces could be, we have the car and that's where we feel where we can go and cry maybe. We don't have that own space. Why do you think it's so hard for us to create that space for ourselves?
One of the reasons why a lot of people do the things that they're doing in lives, whether it's dysfunctional or not, is based off of the fact that through generational learning, they have learned the way how to be like this. And as a child, you learn that sometimes it's not good to cry. It's not good to set yourself up. It's not good to be alone. You always need to be with someone. So in our minds, in our structure of our brains, we think about these things are not right. The constructs that gave us our being before, that once upon a time kept us safe, no longer serve us anymore. Because as an organism, we are in a bad time now because we are afraid to touch. And that's hard by ourselves. We are afraid to hug people, to touch, because of a virus that's there. But there's always been viruses. But because we feel and we believe a certain way now, it's now made this detachment and so far apart that we think we shouldn't, when it's in us to do so. And it's the same thing with the sanctuary. It's the same thing about your place, your safe place. So many people don't do it because they don't believe they deserve it. They don't believe they own it, right? It's all about where your belief system is around what's happening within yourself, right? We all need that place that we can drop our nervous system, that we can chill, whether it's a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a glass of wine. It needs to be that place where you actually can bring your vibratory levels down and you can just chill. But because we have these other constructs in there that says you have to be a mom. That means you always have to be on point. You have to be a husband. You have to do X, Y, Z. And if you check out, you don't love them. You always have to be on. That's not true. You're an organism, you're a human, and you need that safe space as well. So if I do have the clients that say, I have my safe place, I can cry in my car. I was like, I don't think that's a safe place. I think that's the place. That's like by circumstance. That's not like, all right, now I can just go do X, Y, Z and have my cry out. It's like, oh my God, I'm having this hard time. Oh my God, and then all of a sudden, I'm so pent up, I just find myself crying in my car because that's the only place I can find quiet. And that's how I found out. I was like, you got to make something, girl. If it's your kitchen and you love cooking, let's make it that. And then we constructed based off of them.
So what do you see people are sabotaging, or like they're not, because something is stopping us? Because our intent could be there, or like you say, I don't need it, but what is actually like stopping us and holding us back?
There's so like, all right, so there's many ways.
Some of them.
But it all comes back down to the belief system. If you don't believe you're good enough, if you don't believe you deserve a place, you're going to always say, it seems right, so let's try it. And because your heart is not behind it, because you don't see it properly, you're going to do things that's going to trip you up without you even knowing. Self-sabotage, right? So a good example is I see people not making something because it's supposed to be perfect. Like the perfect she shed, right? What's in your she shed? It's this, I have this over here. And then all of a sudden it becomes this big grandiose thing. And you're just like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what to do. So let me just go back to what is comfortable and norm and let's stay here. Or they say, that's just really big. I don't have the time to do that now. I don't have time to create it. And it's all based off of the fact that they don't believe that they deserve it.
Yeah.
Right? They don't believe it. And like, as well as I see people doing things and they say, I'm going to make something. They look on Pinterest. They look on feng shui magazines. They're like, oh, great. This is awesome. I'm going to make it. And then they make it for somebody else. It's somebody else's favorite spot. I learned this when I was doing massage therapy in Ritz-Carlton in New York. It was the early 2000s. And I learned that you're supposed to have the spa music on. But I had my intuition tuned in so well that I felt my clients as I was going through. And I was still young and I had my routine. And if anyone says I have a routine, you want to run away. But I had my routine and I knew at a very specific spot, everybody had knots and tightness in this area. With time, I started realizing that how can everybody have the same knot in the same spot? It's not possible. Then I started opening up and looking at what was happening. And what was happening is because I was listening to the Rain CD at the same time I would start, it would be at the same place on every human body. I realized when the lightning strike hits, the body would protect itself. And it's ever so slightly. So what people do is they listen to something and they expect it to be right. Like I need to listen to a spa CD in the spa, and they don't realize that they're contracted. As soon as I flipped it and I said, why don't you bring your own music? It completely changed. My results got way better because they were in their environment. So my suggestion for people that are in that realm of looking for help, feel it. Say, if I took this, would I actually feel comfortable? It looks great, just like the spa CD sounds great, but it wasn't you. So I see people trying to make things really, really perfect, messing it up and making it very hard and overwhelming. Then I see people making things the wrong way. And the biggest one is not protecting their safe place. That is something that happens so often that like I would be down here doing my thing and my kids would just run down here. And they'll just be like, daddy, 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 daddy. And they'll tap me on the head while I'm meditating. I'm just like, The reason that happens a lot is because it wasn't safeguarded. Now, with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, there's different learning styles that they need to understand. But they understood what happened when I got up and said, guys, where are we? Oh, I'll see you later, daddy. It's setting up that boundary And that's where majority of the problem comes from, based off of you understanding who you are. So based off your beliefs and the generational learning style, there's 5 of them. You have to understand who you are, your self-esteem, to understand what you need versus what you want. And once you understand what you need, you can actually push your limits of who you are, which then creates the boundaries of being safe. So because I know I need to keep my nervous system down, because I know I need to do my exercises in the morning, my meditations in the morning, it's very simple for me to set the boundaries. So many people never do it backwards. They just say, oh, we're going to set boundaries. You guys are not allowed down here. And it comes off with the energy of resistance, of pushing.
Right.
And what happens when anyone gets put with resistance? They push back. Kids are known for pushing back, right? That's what happens, right? You have to learn how to show yourself and be yourself. I'm like, guys, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to meditate. I need you to do X, Y, Z, or Z by D, and you give them what they need to do and say, by the way, I have to teach you how to, this is another faulty part. I have to teach you how to do those things by yourself, because kids are dependent on parents. They have to learn who they are so they can know what they need to do, so they can push their limits. Their own boundaries get set. The parents fall apart there. So they say something, never really truly mean it, and they never fortify the outcome.
Right.
It's very, very simple in the way of, you act the way you want to be treated, right? You have to feel it. And once you feel it, it just spews out of you. You understand what you need to do.
If
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's about setting boundaries, which would be my next question. How do we set them? But like, so kids, I feel, which I could be wrong, like your significant other that you're living with, or the kids, like let's just say with a significant other, an adult, young adult. How do you set those boundaries? Like what's same thing?
Same exact way.
Same.
The major problem that everyone has, right? They think I'm with my significant other and we're intertwined, we're in love. So we have to be one, but it's not. You need to be so close that you understand what's happening, but not intertwined where you share each other's shit. That needs to change dramatically. You need to be so close to them that you understand how they're breathing, how they're moving, everything as they move. But as soon as you think what they do and what they feel affects me, you are now trapped. They are now, it's a codependent relationship rather than an independent relationship that's working together. So the biggest thing that I have to shift with my women that are going through this, because building a sacred space is one of the things that we have to do. Because you need a place where you can actually do your exercises, you can do your journaling, your mindset work. You can sit down and like, I just need quiet for a second. We need to create those places. And the first thing I have to do is like, why? You have to understand what you feel like inside. Now, when you, for instance, this is one of my bamboo plants. And it's funny because I've moved my office 4 times. And when that bamboo plant is the last of the very first bamboo plant I had inside my office. So I've had the prayer plant that's behind you. I have the mother-in-law's tongue over there. I had a whole bunch of plants, but this one was my first one. It started everything with me. So when they started dying out, it's very traumatic to me. It was very hard for me because I watched this plant that was literally almost 7 to 8 feet tall. This bamboo plant that I got from IKEA that was like this big.
Yeah,
it grew, but I learned how to tap into that and started realizing if I started bringing all these other plants and it wasn't for me, I didn't like it. It didn't feel right. So I ended up just with the prayer plant that you have behind you, the mother-in-law's tongue, and my bamboo. There's so many plants out in the world, but they just don't take because it's not me. Right. So as soon as you start making something, as soon as you get to see what it feels like. And it's the same thing with your creating boundaries. If you don't know what feels right to you, how can you ever explain it to them, get them to actually embody it? That's the whole thing. You have to feel it within yourself, feeling what's happening inside yourself. My bamboo plant, that's the last one left. It's so sad, but it's so lovely because I see it growing again. Like you see, like I'm looking at it and it's right now in real time. I just got giddy. That's what your safe space is supposed to do. Everything that you look at brings you joy.
Right.
Oh yeah, I like it, but it looks cute. It's all right, right? It's cute. Like, you want to be able to touch base with it and really interact with whatever you're doing. Whether it's like, I've had sofas, I've had the chases, and that is a moon pod. It's a glorified beanbag chair that is the best thing in the world. And I say it just like that because it's like I'm like a child, but when I lay into it, it's anti-gravity. Have you ever heard of float? The float
What?
tanks? The float tanks?
Yes, yes, yeah. Done it. Yeah.
So it's a version of a float tank because it's anti-gravity. The way that they designed it, it's anti-gravity. So I say it's a glorified beanbag chair because you think of college rooms in your 20s and you're sitting in beanbag chairs. It's kind of like that, but that's all I need. And it's right there sitting in the corner. I can just chill and I can do everything I need to do that I need to be in. And it's not glorified. It's not this great things. I don't have all these different candles around because that's not me.
Right.
Like, so when my wife comes down here and I need to separate and she sees me in the one thing that actually makes me in it, she shuts up. Not because it's I told her to and I commanded it and I'm this big bad bully. It's because I explained to her, I was like, this thing is awesome. When I'm in this, it changes everything. It means so much when I come out of it. And because I said it from the heart, from my feeling, it now comes a different way. She thinks twice when it happens, when I'm in that place. Many people don't explain or share what they feel with their spouse, with their kids. They just tell them what's going on. This is what I need you to do. It's very dictative. And it needs to be exploratory. It needs to be fun. You need to share your heart, and so many people don't get vulnerable in that way, especially in relationships. It's win or lose. You know, many people might take this the wrong way, and I don't want it to be like, me and my wife understand each other where I'm down here and she doesn't bother me. It's not because it's the man cave. It's because this is where I told her, I was like, this is where I really, really jam out. If you need me, just call. But understand, like, this is where it's happening. You're risking like messing up my flow. And she understands what the flow means to me. If she didn't understand what the flow means to me, she'd be like, all right, I'll just mess with you whenever you want. But on the flip side, when she's flowing on her own, I don't mess with her either at all, because that's the relationship that we have.
Right.
We have ourselves space, whether we're in a 1-bedroom apartment or a 2-floor house, right? It's the same thing, because not because of the distance, not because of the material, not because of the environment. It's because we understand who we are. We understand where we are. And that is the problem. Many people don't feel what's happening. They just dictate with their words. And people don't realize words only take up maybe 10% of communication. It's a very, very small part of what actually communication is. It's more energy. It's more tonality. It's more body language. Right? That's what we have to go back into in the long-winded way.
Well, I think that's true, because I think communication, we always say, is huge in a relationship, but it's more so how we communicate.
So one of the things that I teach often is a concept of, everybody wants to know what to do. People tell me, oh, Pat, you've been getting people out of paint for 20 years. You're awesome. You get people's business back. You get them money. What do I have to do because I'm at this part? And I was like, well, that's your problem. You're looking for what to do. How do you feel about it? You have to understand how you feel about what you're doing. So when I'm creating all this, it shifts. Like, I have the feng shui aspect. I have like, there's so many different things that dictate what a room can be. And there's not one that's right or one that's wrong. I tell everybody this. Everything works for everyone sometimes, because it's always going to change. As you grow, as you adopt, it's going to change. But if you learn how to feel how you feel, you now dictate what you need at that moment. So my office changes all the time. One of my types, one of my human traits is variety. I need to change, or else I feel stifled. If one thing stays there for a long time, my creativity goes away. My energy just starts to plummet. So understanding who I am on a deep level, I understand this is going to change.
Right.
So I need to know what's going to happen when I change. And that's why I had trouble with people saying, oh, you just have to do this one thing all the time. I was like, no, that's not true, because you change. You're an organism. Based off the seasons, things are going to change. And that never changes. The seasons are going to keep on coming. unless you live in a place that doesn't have seasons, but you're still going to have a cycle.
Right.
You have to change with that, and then you just have to feel. And that's where everyone's making their mistake. Everyone that I've come across is they lead with this, or they lead with this. They just muscle through everything. They do what they have to do. They go, 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 or they overthink things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
one.
from your heart.
It needs to be both, though. You know, it needs to be both at all times, and that's what this movement for mindfulness is bringing you practice into here, bringing you here. But it's not. It goes further than mindfulness, because you can be mindful of something, and then you can actually like allow it to flow through you, allow it to be part of you. That's completely different. I can feel my heartbeat, right? That's me being mindful of my heart. But me being understanding of what's happening with you and feeling you and seeing how my heart resonates well with you, completely different ballgame. Completely different
So
ball.
to get more like, because I'm tactical, right? Like I need like 3 steps. So say I'm living with my husband and he's driving me insane right now.
Oh,
And I'm not, but just hypothetically.
huh?
And they just invading my space. There's like, stay away. I mean, or so it is about the communication, but it's like it sounds good, but like if
Too good to be true, Pat.
you're in that space where you just like so you just can't speak clearly from your heart because you're just so fed up.
All right, so let me see if I got this right. You're looking to understand how to manage overwhelm, and you do not have a place to escape to.
And you're trying to communicate to the relationship, the people in your home, that my space, stay away. I mean, not like that, obviously, but that's what you would say right now because you're in that space.
Many people do it like that.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
that's obviously, stay away, this is my space. Time
That
out.
will resistance, and that will there goes the resistance. So number one, you have to understand where you are in that moment. So is it time to have that conversation that's going to start building the boundaries that you need, the practice in the boundaries? So don't get me wrong, my kids are 3 and 6. I'm very good at this. They still come downstairs and mess with me. It's just it's not every single day. It's like rarely. But that's when they're in their head and they lose control of themselves because they're so excited and they don't think, because kids don't think, they respond. They're
Right.
raw expansion. They just go, 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 go. But we're teaching them how to think. Many people start this practice. They want to work with their spouse. They want to do anything, but they're doing it with their spouse, not with them. They have
Yeah.
to understand you are first. So if you're worked up, number one, it's nothing you say or do is going to be right? You have to now check in with yourself, calm down, and ask yourself, why am I so upset? Is it because he's not listening to me? Is it because he keeps on over talking me because he's never going to understand? And that's a thought that you are projecting onto him.
Yeah.
There's many things that you can do from there, but you have to always touch base with yourself. As soon as you come down, you calm down, you bring your nervous system down. It's going to be really hard due to the fact that you don't have a sanctuary or anything that someone's going to bother you, but you might need to take that step into the car. Then to come back in a safer place with a completely different mindset back into your body, and then have that conversation like, you know what, we really need to work on XYZ. Or, you know what, we were jerks just now. Own up to where you're at, because it takes 2 to tango, right?
Yeah.
It's
Never pass blame.
oh, yeah, never ending in vain, but a lot of people point the fingers, and people don't realize the world is full of mirrors. What aggravates you about somebody else or you dislike about something else is part of you that's inside that's not resonating well with that as well. That's why you're seeing it. And that's why it's pissing you off. Right? So as you go in and you start to learn more and more about calming yourself down, which is still step number 1, then you go into step number 2. I'm going to start in this position, taking the experiences from the past and say, this is what happened in the past that just happened now, which now I want to make sure it doesn't happen ever again. So can we do XYZ, and seeing if that works for that person, which is you're right in front of them, really, really close to them, and you're understanding them and seeing if they push away or if they come closer. Right? As soon as they come closer, like, oh, that works. And now your connection becomes deeper in that hard time. And that's how you mend a marriage. That's how you get things done. You find out where you're dancing. You're coming back and forth with each other through the communication of calmness, right? Once you have that down, now you're starting to set the boundaries for you being able to live in a one bedroom suite. Let's call it a studio suite, where all I have is a beanbag chair. But that beanbag chair can be a cue for don't mess with her. Don't do it. Like, this is your spot. And he'd be like, no, don't go to the beanbag chair. Ugh! He's in the beanbag chair. She made it to the beanbag chair. Now I can't engage. Like, that's the boundary that you want to do, but it comes from a place of you knowing why. So the first question is, the very first step is, why did that make me so mad? And as soon as you find out that, then you can come back in a calm state and explain all the things that happened in the past, where you're at now, where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Steps that you need to go to make it there, then you have it. Regarding making your private sanctuary, it's all about, all right, when I'm here, what can I do to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to make sure you don't interrupt me? Is it okay that I go down there? What is it about me separating from you? Because remember, we're all kids, and at one point, we always needed our parent. We always needed our figure, our one, our person. I like to say, what happens if your husband doesn't like, or husband or spouse doesn't like that separation because they are used to being there? By you actually trying to help yourself gives them anxiety. But if you help them with that, then you get your cake and eat it too.
Right.
You help them practice. Like, by the way, I'm going to come back. I love you. I don't know why me going into that corner freaks you out. Some people don't want to feel that divide that happens when a person helps themselves, because they actually energetically level up. When the other person's scared to even do anything, they stay there. It's not their fault. There hasn't been hand-holding enough to bring them up a level. And that's where you have to do it at the same time. They come up, you go up, and you have fun with it. But so many people don't spend enough time in the why section. They just say, this is what you did to make me mad. You're such a jerk because of X, Y, Z, rather than asking why. When I deal with pain, pain is just a communication. It's just your child screaming loud because you haven't listened to him. My job is to ask, so why aren't you listening to your body? And you're going to tell me a whole lot of what's. So I take apart those what's and bring you to the how. So how did that make you feel when you went into work and you didn't listen to your child because you're limping around, or you're drinking coffee and you're making your child do things more? Of course it's going to freak out. How did it make you feel when you realized that's what your options that you chose? Those are the actions that you did that caused what happened. Changes the game completely, because now I put you back in your body, and now you can actually own up to it. And it needs to be in a way where it's safe. And that's the whole thing. You have to have a communication style that's safe. House. Like, my wife is an Italian. I'm Black. We are loud people. So what is safe to us might be freaking crazy out there, but we are loud. Like, we talk and we're passionate. So we're not even arguing. We're just like, yo, what's up? Ah! Like, that's just our style, and then we own it. That's just us. Right? So many people think it needs to be one way. It's not. It's your way. So when you're creating your world, create your world by understanding who you are. You understanding who you are will then, through osmosis, will permeate to the people around you. And then those people have two choices: jump along for the ride or fight for dear life. And if they fight for dear life, all you have to do is say exact phrase. You want tangible step? I saw X happen. What's up with that? Just that question alone will start to get him or her like, ooh, what's up with that? I don't like that you do that. And that person's going to tell you what's up with that. As long as you're very specific on the X part, the thing that you notice that triggered you, then you can be like, he keeps on bothering me when I'm in my safe place. I notice you bother me whenever I'm in my safe place. What's up with that? And then
what is there the helicopter parent, those people who are always buzzing around, making sure that you're okay?
So I was like, I noticed that you're always checking on I'm okay. what's up with that?
There we go.
Like they're going to give you what's going down to their heart. And then once you find out that, then it's just a matter of, okay, you think I'm going to die because I'm meditating and I don't talk and breathe. What, like if I put on a heart rate monitor, if I gave you a pulsometer and you see that my heart's beating, would that make you feel safe? It could be like, I came up two just ridiculous things, but like, it's that simple. It's like, oh, they just told me why.
Right.
So let's figure out the how that makes them feel safe. What's the how that makes them safe? If I gave you this, just make you feel safe. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. And then it's a trial and error at that point. Because now that person, by you answering, that person came closer to you. It's like, oh, by the way, this is what happened. And if you really want to end it, you can be like, when was the first time that you felt that? Now I can go into therapy and have some fun with it. But like, you can go so much by you noticing what's happening, you calming yourself down and asking that one question. But if you're not in your body, it'll never work. Right. Because the question will come out, damn it, every time I'm sleeping, every time I'm doing that, you're waking me up. Why do you do that? Completely different feel, right? It's all like night and day, same tone, like same words, but it doesn't latch on.
Right. Or some of us just hold it in and we don't even say anything and we're just like, you know,
that's the other one.
Just we're keeping it in. And what do you see with that though? Because then there's a pain comes in, and what do you see? Because there's a lot of, I've been there. I held a lot of things inside and I became sick, various things. And it was just like, you're not sick, you're healthy. Why is all this happening? It was stress. But all the symptoms came.
So the question that you're asking me is like, how do I help a person that's holding everything in?
Yeah, because pain will show you can get sick by holding in, you know,
Correct.
Everything. So what have you seen that happens to people, or some symptoms that they have that they are actually, because we may not know that we're holding it in.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah, and most people don't.
Like that their belief system, they don't need to feel, or something has happened, relatively it's small or big, we could call it trauma, micro trauma, whatever the case may be, the mind and nervous system jumps so high that they learn how to detach. Fed by the constructs of our world where you have to be in your mind or in your body, what would happen is you'll stay in one or the other. Majority of our society is in our mind. So they detach from their body. So the body speaks in emotions. So many more people need to understand they're holding things down. So it's all about getting them back in their body. How do I get them to start speaking up? I do things like a body scan. I get them to learn how to consistently get back into their body so they can actually be able to like, oh man, my stomach is hurting. What's bothering me now? It wasn't the food I ate, or was it the food I ate? Or is it the freaking conversation that I really can't stomach? Right? Like that's the thought that we have to do. Like, dang, my throat is hurting. Why can't I speak up? So what aren't you speaking up to? It becomes very, very simple once you start learning how to do it. It's just a matter of learning how to do a body scan and learning how to sit there with it. Do you understand what I mean?
How do we do a body scan?
Now that's fun. A body scan is very, very simple. And what we could do, how much time do we have left? We have more time?
You know, I was going to take the time and I didn't.
All right, so we got time because we didn't check the time.
That happens every time. I even have like a little thing here for the time. I have my Post-it note, but I never write it down.
All right, so what we're doing, we'll end with this because this is something that everyone should understand and know. Your human organism speaks to you all the time. There's all sorts of things that's happening. But in our brain, we think the only time we need to listen is when there's a red light flashing. And that's us driving down the road and the red light is our gas. And then we find out we're nowhere near a gas station. We have to consistently keep a measurement of our gas. So we don't see. So what a body scan could do could be relatively simple, is understanding what's actually happening in your body. And we're going to be looking for tension. And tension is just hop, skip, and a jump closer to what's actually happening in emotion. So we don't want to look for pain because that's almost a red light, right? Soreness, almost a red light. We want to look for a little bit of tension. So the sensation that we're looking for is muscles holding on more than they have to. You're currently sitting. If everybody is watching, take a seat. Take a seat. And the first thing that you want to do is monitor your breath. Is your breath in your chest or in your belly? Is your breath short, shallow, long? There's no right or wrong. It's just, where is my breath? And once you get there, now I got you out of your head, and now you're trying to monitor, am I breathing right? Am I here? Which I got you bridging the gap halfway to your body. Does that make sense? So now you're trying to monitor, am I breathing right? Is it here? It's like, all right, so now you're breathing. So now I want you to just bring your attention to your feet, away from your head, into your chest, into your feet. Notice as your toes grabbing. Notice if there's any muscular tension that's inside your feet that does not need to be there because they're just seated. And I want you to think of a light switch. You can turn on and off, and I want you just to turn it off. What would it feel like to have more energy drop down out of your feet? And then the sensation is going to happen. That's your sensation. I can't give you that sensation, but it's your sensation. Whatever that sensation is, as long as you felt it shift, you're in the right spot. Just with your head, did you get it to shift? Perfect. So now you know what a light switch feels like to turn off power and everything calm down. So now I want you now to work your way up to your ankles, into your calves. And at this point, close your eyes. And when you feel a shift, I just want you to shake your head, acknowledge it, that you're actually having communication with your body. Legitly acknowledge it. When you feel your calves and your ankles, turn off that light switch and feel a sensation. Perfect. And then as you work up, we're going to go to your knees. Turn off that light switch. Then as you work up your calves, your quads, as well as your hamstrings, the front of your legs and the back of your legs, going up to your butt, turn off that light switch. Now you don't see it, but I watched your body readjust itself. It sank into this chair. So now I want to look at your whole hips, the hips sitting on the chair itself, your organ placement on your pelvic floor. Turn off the light switch. And there goes the shift again. Now I want you to work up through your belly into your chest. So now your whole abdomen. Turn off that light switch. Shoulders into your arms, your hands. Turn off that light switch. Your neck, throat, jaw. Turn off that light switch. Now you just sit with that for a second. I actually have learned how to heal my eyes. I was almost legally blind. And at this point, I started to watch how much tension was in my eyes. So I always love this part. Now that you have a very clear signal of what relaxation feels like, and I stopped right at your nose, do you see how much tension you are actually holding in your forehead and in your eyes? Turn off that light switch. In this moment, I want you to now look around at your sacred place. That's why I said you don't need a fancy dancy anything. You are in your sacred place right now. And we are in your office. We can be in your car. We can be in the line at a supermarket. Right now, this is safe. This is you communicating with your body. Acknowledge it, feel it, try to memorize it so you actually can start doing it better and better. Because you do matter. You do have to put yourself first. If you don't put yourself first, somebody else is first. And that is never good. That doesn't serve anyone. But this is not selfish, putting yourself first. This is honoring the world, honoring who you are, and honoring all the energetic properties of who you can and what you can do. It's just a matter of you feeling it and actually being okay with it, not just saying okay with it. Knowing this is awesome, which means I am awesome. Memorize that. Feel it. Open your eyes and tell me about your first body scan.
I feel so much heavier right now.
That is awesome. So what you just did was you were holding all this tension. Oh, Pat, this is awesome. We're having this fun and everything's all robotic. Now, if you tried to lift up your hands, it wouldn't be heavy. It would just be like completely fluid. It would be like connected. That's you are now grounded. This is a grounded sensation where now you are where you are. It's just a matter of, does it feel right?
It certainly does to me.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed that and actually felt it, because we did go a little bit fast and there was cueing that your body was giving me that I understood I can move. So hopefully everybody's on the same wavelength as you and they enjoyed it as well.
I mean, I think the key is too, when you said, like, to me, it's just taking out a breath and then you kind of just go, you sink into it. I mean, and that's because then you're just relaxing even more.
Now that's the thing, which then brings down your nervous system, which then gets you to see who you are. Now you play with this even more. You start understanding when you can speak to your spouse, when you can start setting your boundaries. And this is the beauty part. If you did this first and you were to do something and change something in your room or try to create your room, your body will tell you by clamming shut if it wants to or not. And that's how I create my spaces.
Yeah, I love that. So I know we're at a time, but I know you're offering a free gift, which can you tell us about that?
I created an ebook called the Me First Ebook. It gives you steps and gets you to understand who you are a little bit and why and how to put yourself first in a non-selfish manner. It walks you through different places that you can make the changes that you need to make the changes, as well as small tangible, like there's little workbooks in the back that get you to start looking and mapping out, like I said, where you are, where you were, find out where you are, find out where you want to go, and then the small steps that you need to get there, right? But we're always here. So I give you things within the relationship world, in the personal world, in the emotional world, that you have to start clearing up by putting yourself first. So it's a small little ebook. It's a very simple, easy read, and it's just something that anybody can work through and actually have a tangible steps to really learn how to put themselves first and understand who they are.
That sounds amazing. I mean, I go back to when you're in the airplane and the oxygen.
I'm first.
And you have the kid and you're like, you first. And you just go, no, it goes against, it just goes against you, but it's put the oxygen on you first. Otherwise,
That
you're
is
so good.
that. Those are the beliefs that dictate who we are, and you see how conflicting they can be. That's the root of my work, is getting people to see how conflicted they are based off the beliefs that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And once they understand how to get to that root, kill that root, then they have their adult mind with all the experiences, all the power, meet their inner child, which all the wisdom, all the play, all the energy. That's a beast. And that's why I work with these entrepreneurial masculine women that just are lady bosses, is the way they like to be talked about. They just love it and they just run it. And that's where we hone it in, because running that hot for that long, you'll burn out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. So this has been extremely, extremely amazing.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed, I don't know if we completely went over time, and I apologize if anybody is at this moment. I thank you so very much for even playing with us. I just like to jam out and have some fun. So I appreciate you guys for actually listening. And Lena, thank you so much for actually having me.
Oh no, my pleasure. Like, yeah, I told you yeah, this is good. It's just going deeper, and it's just, there's so much to creating these spaces that's more than just the visual. It goes here, which is so important. It's where we start.
Yes, ma'am. That's it. We always have to start with us. Start with why, why. And then it just, everything works out from there, and it just does. Universe is always looking out for you. Your God is always looking out for you. Spirit is always there for you. You just have to trust the fact that it's there. You don't have to do it.
Right. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you
Amazing.
so much.
Goodbye to you. Goodbye to the listeners. And
Bye.
thank you. It's been amazing. Thank you everyone for listening in, and yeah, do those practices, but don't do them driving. The body speaks.
Don't do it driving. Does not work out. I am not to fault on that one. I'm telling you, don't do it while driving.
In the same space. We should have said that first. Like, if you're driving right now, park.
Okay. Yes, that's true. We should definitely said that first.
But so yeah, thank you for all of that. It's very helpful, and yeah, I'm very excited to read your book, and I'm gonna download it and I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it this weekend.
Well, please. It's a holiday weekend, so it should be fun.
So yeah. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the listeners, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Patrick.